Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let me just get this situated. Come on. There we go. There we go. Hi, 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 hi. Welcome, Big Brother fans. What's up? Welcome to A Moment in Time with Taylor, where we are going to do this week's recap of season 22 of All Stars Big Brother. All Stars edition. I said that backwards, whatever. You guys get what I'm here for, right? Hi, I'm Taylor. I go live every single day on Periscope and Twitch, and sometimes I go live here on YouTube as well, typically with book or show reviews. I also do ASMR, yoga, and other things. First comment to the broadcast goes to Reggie, saying first. Ryan was second. Ryan was just hanging out with me in my private Periscope group when we were getting ready, and they were helping me remember my glasses. Thank you so much for the first super hearts. First comment and first super hearts to the broadcast, Reggie. MVP, man. Thank you so much. We are live on Periscope and YouTube right now. Welcome in, Marcio. Just here. Welcome to your first day on Periscope. So we're going to start with Sunday's episode. So we're going to do Sunday's episode, episode 11, last night's episode, episode 12, and then tonight's episode, Thursday night, the eviction night, episode 13. So we're going to talk about how this week went in the Big Brother household, and let me know what you guys think as well. So it started out kind of talking about the weird, well, let me get to that actually after. We'll talk about how the completion of the HOH competition last week went. So Kaser landed 2 out of 3 balls on his first roll. So he took all 3 balls. So you basically had to, like, I think I talked about this last week because we saw the first half of the HOH competition. You had to roll some balls up a plane, which is like up and then down. So it was peaked at the top, and that's where there was 3 holes, and you had to get all 3 of your balls in all 3 of the holes before it would be one of the first 3 out of the 6 to get that done. Then there was the other 6. They competed, the first 3 to get done there. They went head to head with the final 6. And then the first person to do it out of the 6 won HOH. So Kaser looked pretty good. I mean, he took all 3 balls. His first roll, boom, rolled them up. 2 of them went in the holes. Eventually he got the 3rd in, and he made it to the final round. The final round, he also had 2 balls, and he was so close. Like, his 3rd ball just kept going so close to the hole, and it was so close, and people were catching up. So it was in the first, out of the first 6, it was Kaser, then Enzo, then David. So Kaser actually finished first, then Enzo, then David. And then secondly, it was Danny, Kevin, who was so cute, jumping up and down, so excited that he actually, made it through to the final round, and Cody. It was amazing because Kaser almost won, but unfortunately for him, Enzo did win, and it was his first time winning HOH ever in his Big Brother career, and it marked the 3rd win of this season. So he won Safety Suite, he won Veto, and he won HOH. So he's definitely getting a bit of a target on his back. He's more of a competition beast, and I think his social game is amazing, maybe even unmatched. I'm very impressed with Enzo. I think he's in a really good spot right now, because you guys notice, like, when they talk about this group running the house, the core 4 or whatever you want to call it, Enzo's name doesn't come up. And the reality is that I think Enzo's running the house a lot more than Memphis is. I think it's more Enzo, Cody, Tyler than anything. So, I mean, there's Davon and Bailey, but they're not really running things. So pretty interesting. I think he's in a good spot. I think Christmas is in a good spot. I know some people were saying, Christmas and Enzo running the house, and I tend to agree with that. So let's go to the weird thing. So Danny had weirdly voted to keep Kaser last week. She had voted to evict Kaser rather than Janelle last week, as did Enzo. Now, Enzo did it the week before as well, and he kind of seems to be his thing. Like, he just votes randomly. Now, she voted to keep Janelle and to vote Kaser out, which was really weird, really confusing. I was confused. I talked about it in my last recap episode. You can actually see my playlist on YouTube of my Big Brother recaps if you want to get caught up and kind of see what my opinions and thoughts are thus far. Hey, Victoria, good to see you. I used a face mask last night, and I thought of you when I did it. Bradley, what's up? Tia, yes. I clicked the wrong one. Hi. Everyone's balls dropped. That's great. Yeah, see, Reggie said, let's go to this one first. I totally agree. I didn't understand that either. I still don't totally understand it, besides just boredom and wanting to create drama. So what we didn't realize, I didn't know because I don't watch the live feeds, is that Danny had approached Cody earlier in the week and said, hey, let's just stir some stuff up. Why don't you and I both vote to keep Janelle, and then we can pin it on Bailey and Davon because they're very close to Janelle. So everyone will think it's them, and we can pin it on them, and we can get them out of here. And Cody said, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. It's not my thing. And she was like, okay. That was the end of it as far as he knew. Then 2 people voted to keep Janelle. So Cody said, he goes up to Danny right after, and he's like, who else did you convince to vote with you? And she was like, I didn't vote. I didn't do that. What do you mean? And he's like, well, you said you were going to do it, so I figured you did it. And she's like, no, are you kidding me? Like, you think I would go around and just ask other people to do this? Like, what do you even mean? She was acting so strange, so defensive. And I don't really understand why she wasn't honest about that. Why didn't she just say, yeah, I did it, but I have no idea who the other person is? Because she didn't. She didn't know it was Enzo, and Enzo didn't tell anyone. Enzo's hilarious. I adore this dude. He's so funny. He's so entertaining. I just love watching this guy. And Cody's like looking at her like, it's you. So she's like, okay, she keeps bringing it up. Who do you think it was? Who do you think threw the votes? And Cody just says, I think it was you. Which made me actually love Cody more too, because it was so like, he's like, dude, it was you. Like, why are you lying about this? Because how can you be allied with somebody who lies to you about something that's like, why would you lie about that? She's not working with somebody else. She's got nothing to hide. There's no reason to just say, like, I just did it anyway, even though you weren't going to do it. I was going to, at least one person could have thrown it. She's like, and then just be like, but I have no idea who that second person was. Because then you strengthen your relationship with Cody, and you are now a team trying to figure out who the other vote was, because you know who one was, so who was the other one? Cody did ask Enzo, and Enzo did not tell him. So what I'm seeing forming between Enzo and Cody is that Cody is being more open with Enzo than Enzo's being with Cody, which I think is smart on Enzo's part and not so smart on Cody's part, but we'll see how that kind of plays out over time. So we'll get a little bit more to that for tonight's episode too, with what Cody told Enzo tonight. So Cody knew she was lying by the way she reacted, and it was just really strange. She kind of just played it off like, when she told it privately to the camera, she just kind of said like, oh, I just want to cause some drama and like stir up some stuff in the house. So maybe she's just bored and she's trying to have some fun. I don't know. I don't totally know. Then David walks in on a conversation that like 6+ people were in the room having about the weird votes. Who do you guys think through the weird votes? Like, who do you think it was? And David walks in and they go, David, who'd you vote for? And he's like, what? They're like, who did you vote for? And he's like, vote for, what do you mean vote? Like when? What do you mean, who did I vote for? And they're like, are you serious right now? Like, in the eviction, like, who'd you vote to evict? And he's just like, saying, it was so weird. Now, I think it's not, at first it wasn't that weird. When someone asks you who'd you vote for, you might think they're talking about the presidential election, right? Like, who do you think David voted for? But who knows, right? But so he kind of might have come in and thought they're talking about, just because obviously they have conversations about other things other than game. So, but there was just an eviction. So they're kind of like, he's a rookie, he's an amateur, like he's not even in game mode right now. He just like walks in, like, well, who'd I vote for? What do you mean? And they're like, for the eviction. So then he should have just been like, oh my God, I thought you meant like for the president. Like, yeah, I voted Janelle out. Who voted to keep her, and just get it. But instead he's just super awkward, won't answer. They're all just like, what the hell? They're all looking at each other like, what is up with this guy? He's in a different world. He's acting so weird. Like, he's super out of it. He's like zoned out. I don't know. I thought it was super weird. They all thought it was super weird. He's not really like putting his best foot forward here. So that was super weird. Then we get to see who the new have-nots are. There's only 3 have-nots this past week. Enzo picked Tyler to be a have-not, Cody picked Davon to be a have-not, and Bailey picked Danny to be a have-not. We get to find out, I personally didn't know, that Nicole and Danny are pretty good friends outside of the house. So they're pretty solid. They really trust each other, and it seemed to me almost like for Nicole, Danny might kind of be her number 1, which probably isn't a great person to have be your number 1. Jared said Janelle will win. How exactly would that even be possible? Actually, wait, let me just mute this guy so I can use him for my cyber harassment case. Okay, cool. Does anyone else want Enzo to win? I love that guy. I like Christmas too. I want to see them be the final two. That'd be amazing. All right. I'd be down for Enzo winning though, for sure. Okay, so we find out they're friends outside of the house, and then it's time for the nominations, which I thought was interesting. The only aired footage of Enzo really kind of like beating up the nominations is the conversation he had. I mean, he has a few conversations, but it seems like Cody basically picked the noms. You know, they're kind of chatting, and Cody says, well, you know, you can, obviously Kaser, right? Obviously they're putting Kaser up. But then he's like, you could put up like Kevin. He's like, yeah, I was thinking about him. And it was kind of like, it just seemed like Cody kind of like picked, you know, that was the only real conversation. I kind of jotted it down and they ended up being the nominations. So he put up Kaser as the target and Kevin as a pawn. Kevin doesn't love that. He kind of says, you know, I'm not a pawn, I'm a queen. And he's a little dramatic. I'm not a big fan of Kevin, to be honest. I think, you know, I think confidence is really attractive. Not like I'm like, not like oh, like sexually attractive, although it is, but I just mean like for people. Like I'm attracted to people that are confident and calm. And Kevin is neither of those things. He's very insecure, which breaks my heart. I feel terrible that he always feels so insecure and anxious, but also that he's like very dramatic. Like he's high anxiety. He's not really like a calm, confident energy, which is my favorite kind of energy in humans. And it makes it hard. Like Enzo, you know, is super calm and confident. Christmas is like, she's confident, but she's a little bit more like spunky, but I love her too. Cody, calm and confident. Tyler, not calm, mostly confident, but not calm. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of go through each person and kind of say, okay, these people calm and confident, and that pretty much rates like how much I prefer them or not. Bailey, I think, is pretty calm, not super confident, but shouldn't feel confident, right, at this point in where she is in the house and everything. So anyway, I got on a bit of a sidetrack there. I'm just not Kevin's biggest fan. I think he just needs to like chill out and stop acting so dramatic about everything. But I guess he is who he is, right? By the end of the baby star thing with Christmas, from her punishment from the safety suite challenge from last week, she ended up with 13 stars by the end of it before they finally gave her relief and her punishment was over for the week. So she got to give up her stars. So funny. I love that punishment so much. And now she is free of the children. So I wrote that I ship Enzo and Christmas. My boyfriend told me they're both married. That's probably true. Whatever, right? They don't have to actually get together, but they definitely have some kind of like chemistry and spark, and they just get along really well. They work together really well. I just love seeing their interactions with each other and just seeing them together. It makes me really happy. The two of them had a good conversation. They talked about how Kevin's just kind of like a floater and neither of them really respect that or like that. Ian being a really big threat. Nicole and Danny being really close, so they picked up on that. They talked about how David was saying he was going to stir stuff up this week, and they didn't really love that. So they had to choose, and I think that Enzo made the right choice. Nobody really views Kevin as a threat. Nobody's really like gunning for Kevin, so Kaser will go home if you put Kevin next to him. The option to put Ian next to him is tempting, but Ian's an actual target also. So you can't have two targets next to each other, because then one of them stays and they know that they're one of your targets and you're kind of in a bad position. You can't really put David up next to him, because people are like, he is kind of on the outs and people would potentially target him, and Kaser might actually be able to generate some votes against David. So I think Kevin was the best choice. I think Kevin or David were close to being comparable choices, but more so Kevin, I think, was the right choice. So I think Enzo made the total right call with the nominations. And then we go to Wednesday night's episode, last night's episode, episode 12, where we start to kind of see what's going on with the veto and how everybody feels about the nominations and how Kevin and Kaser campaign for themselves. So I thought Ian was really smart in this episode. He talked game with Enzo. He went out of his way to go talk game with Enzo because he listened to Enzo when he did the nominations. He said, neither of you have ever talked any game with me, and that means I can't trust you. So I'm putting you guys up. Sorry, man. It's nothing personal. It's just game, right? You don't talk game with me, so I don't know where you're at. So I'm putting you up because I don't know where you're at. So Ian did a good job, especially for somebody who's on the spectrum, because social skills and paying attention, perceiving, and understanding where someone's coming from and what they really want can be very challenging for people on the autism spectrum. So for Ian to pick up on that and then go do it was like super impressive for me on a psychological level, even outside of the game. But gameplay, excellent choice as well. Unfortunately for Ian, Enzo's also very smart and good at this game, and he basically says, dude, he doesn't say to Ian, he says privately, like, obviously the only reason Ian's talking to me is because he's worried that he could go up if somebody comes down off the block, and because I said I, want people to talk game with me, so now all of a sudden he's talking game with me, and he's best friends with me because I'm the HOH. I see right through it. It makes no, like, it has no effect on me, right? He could very easily go up as a replacement nom if it comes around to it. So I thought that was impressive too. Two very impressive players. Definitely what we're looking for in an all-star season. Different level than like what David and Danny are doing. Enzo and Ian, I think. Right now, they're probably my two favorites. Very impressive. Really just killing the game right now. I think Enzo's really good too because he doesn't put himself in these awkward positions where he lies to somebody or makes promises that he can't keep or makes too many alliances with too many people and he kind of like makes a mess. He's pretty honest with people. Like he's not rude, like Memphis was kind of rude to David that one time, but he's real. So he'll say like, yeah, man, we'll just see how it plays out. We'll just see how things go. Like, I totally get what you're saying. I respect you and I like you. And yeah, we'll see. They're all true things and they're all nice things and somewhat optimistic, but he's not making any promises. He's not saying like, yeah, I got you. Like, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to have your back unless he really does. And for him, his primary two are Tyler and Cody, but I do think that Christmas is up there as well. That might even be his number one. It's kind of in the air. So when he's talking to Cody and Tyler, they're his people. When I see him with Christmas, I think, yeah, these two really have a good bond and good trust. And she's potentially not as much of a threat to him as Tyler and Cody competitively, although she is very competitive as well. But socially, she's probably more of a threat because people really like her. I love her. I think everybody loves her. Everybody in the house loves her. I mean, we kind of got to see that play out a little bit tonight, but let me not get ahead of myself. Let's stick with last night's episode. Hi, Greg. How are you? Do we have PayPal? Yeah, we have PayPal. Why? You can do Streamlabs. Oops, I wrote it wrong. So that'll go through PayPal. Enzo has a good sense of humor and he uses that to his favor. Yeah, and he's super calm and confident. I really think those are attractive qualities. Like, and when I say attractive, I'm not, again, talking about like, I think this dude's hot. It's like you attract people to you. If you're attractive, like magnetic, right? You attract people. People want to be around you. People want to work with you. They like you. They want to spend time with you. These are all good things in a game that's very much based in social skills, They eliminate someone every week. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's see, where are we now? Kevin and David, they're kind of on the outs. I think that's a good alliance for the two of them to make. See, what I don't like seeing play out in Big Brother, and probably plays out every season, this is only the second season I've ever watched, is that we get to see the high school thing play out over and over. All the popular, good-looking young people like get together and they form a super strong, like highly testosterone-filled alliance. And testosterone-filled and like blonde hair or whatever, like pretty girls. And then there's like everyone else who are kind of like misfits, right? You have like Nicole that went home, Nicole from last season with the glasses and kind of like nerdy and geeky. And then you have Ian, who's on the autism spectrum, so he's a little bit weird. He's a really smart guy. You have Kaser, who's highly intelligent but not really socially savvy. You have Kevin, who's like very flamboyant and insecure and definitely not like a, hot popular kid. Like, he's on the outs. He's a misfit. You have Bailey and Davon, who are gorgeous women, but for whatever reason don't get included into the what I would call like the majority white person alliance. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, a lot of the people I just listed, Kevin, David, Tyler likes David, but for the most part, not, he kind of blew that up himself. But we see all these people of color being on the outs. Kaser, Kevin, David, Davon, Bailey. Why are they not working together? That's 5 people right there. They could have had Nicole, Janelle. I mean, they could have been the majority alliance, and that's what frustrates me about this show, because the same thing happened last season. It's like these people don't unite and get together and bond together and be like the misfits that take over the actually smaller group of beautiful people, So that's how I feel about that. But I'd like to see that happen. So you have Kevin and David kind of flirting with the idea of working together. You have this Mornings with Memphis scene where Memphis is sitting in the one chair on the block, and then, Kaser comes and sits next to him, and he's like, "Welcome to Mornings with Memphis. Let's guess what the headlines are today." And they kind of had some fun. It was fun to actually see Kaser smile a little bit, because Kaser doesn't smile enough, and it's off-putting for people. And maybe, women get told they need to smile more all the time, and it's really annoying. But Kaser, sometimes Kaser says stuff, and he's just so serious that it's off-putting. Like I said, it's really just not social savvy at its finest. People trust you when you're smiling and being friendly with them. When you seem pissed off all the time, it's not really helpful. And he's wanting to break all these preconceived notions about Muslim men and how they're not evil and angry and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe if you smiled a couple times a day, that would be helpful, instead of just looking pissed off all the time, because that doesn't really help the stereotype, right? Dude, you look mad all day, almost all day, in my perspective, right? He looks pissed off. Maybe he just has resting bitch face for dudes. I don't know, but he could potentially work on maybe being a little bit more charismatic. What do you mean? Why not, Greg? My ex rarely smiled as well, and it actually caused some insecurity in me. I felt like I wasn't making him happy, But there's some people, never mind. Okay. You really liked today's episode, Sarah? Yeah, me too. It was a good one. The Kaser thing was really awesome too. Bad teeth? Does Kaser have bad teeth? That's a smile without teeth. You can still smile, right? Embarrassing. I'm sorry to hear that, Greg. That stinks. Yeah, some people are very insecure about that. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Perhaps. I didn't get that impression. It seems like he's more just an intense, serious guy, because he has smiled and I haven't noticed anything weird about his teeth. But some people are very insecure about things that other people wouldn't even notice, I have not earned, no. Okay, so then the veto competition. So do I want to get into this? Yeah, so we see the... Oh yeah, we see them get picked, right? Who's getting picked for the veto competition? So we know Enzo, head of household. We know the two nominations, Kaser and Kevin. And then Enzo picks Bailey. No, I'm sorry. Enzo picked Tyler, which is his fourth veto competition in a row. So he has competed in, I believe that's every veto competition this season so far. Kaser picks Bailey, and Kevin picks house guest choice, and he picks David because David said he would play for him. And potentially, it seemed to me like David was seriously considering taking Kevin off the block, because he's been trying to stir things up and mix things up and make a big move and put something on his resume, and this is something that he could do, and kind of put a slap in the face of those kind of people running the house. Just be like, okay, force Enzo to show his hand and put someone else up. So before we get into the veto competition, we see some other things play out. For example, actually, when Kaser picked Bailey, when he reads her name and he flips around, he says, Bailey. He looks mad. Instead, you could be like, Bailey, just something, right? Yay. Even if you, for some reason, cannot smile, say something positive. All right, Bailey, you got me, right? Even if you're joking around, it's just you got to make friends. People have to like you if they're going to keep you and want to live with you for the next month or two or however long. Okay. Anyway, Greg, thank you so much for the regards. Okay. Then we realized that Bailey kind of hates Kaser. At least that's what it seemed like. He's talking to her and he's telling her how it is, right? So, there's these people running the house and we're on the outs. So, just think about it. And she's like, don't tell me to think about it. Don't be condescending to me. I know what's going on. I don't need to think about it. I'm always thinking about it. I'm here. I'm paying attention. I'm a serious player in this game, and I don't appreciate you trying to tell me how it is when you're the one who's on the outs. You don't know what the hell's going on in this house. I know a lot more than you do. I know exactly what's going on in terms of those people running the house. You're not giving me any new information or data. This isn't like, oh my God, my eyes are being opened. This is obvious, and I'm working with them. So she doesn't say that obviously all, but that's her feeling. She does tell him not to be condescending and not to tell her to think about it, because she already has, she already knows. I think she nailed it. And he is really out of the loop. And for him to, she's like, I'm not stupid. And he's like, I'm not saying you're stupid, but he does come across that way. That's come across that way to me several times. He's kind of pretentious. Like, he's smart, right? He's a really smart guy, which is great. But I think I'm pretty smart, but I try, at least, I don't know if I'm successful, to not come across like I'm trying to make other people feel stupid. Not like he's trying to, but just that he just thinks other people are stupid, right? He's like, oh, they don't really get it. Like, I'm so great at this game and everyone else sucks. When it's like, dude, you're literally losing. Like, you're losing more than anyone else. So how could everyone else be like dumb and wrong except you, Yay! Aw, Greg. Am I level 100 yet? I am not. No, I'm not. The party has started, Jen. Yes, let's go. In case you can't go yet, did you watch tonight's episode yet, Juan? You might want to leave before I spoil it for you. So I am level 37? 36? I'm about to unlock Groot, I think, the Groot skin. Thank you, Greg. I love you, man. You're awesome. You rock. You're watching it right now? It's the ending. Okay. So by the time I get to it, you'll have already seen it. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to keep talking about last night's episode, Wednesday night's episode. And the reality is that working with Kaser would be a really bad game move for Bailey and for a lot of people, unless everyone, right, all those misfits grouped together. So it would require Bailey and Devon leaving the Slick Six Alliance and deciding to work with Kaser instead, who they don't have a relationship with, and nobody really does. And then working with, like, Ian, like, people that I don't think they're very close with, Christmas and Enzo, they think. It's tough, I think Bailey made the right call by just saying, like, bah, Kaser, don't try to pull me in. I don't want to be associated with you. I'm not doing this. Tyler's smart. He made a comment that I thought was insightful. He knows that Kevin could convince David to pull him off the block because David's a rookie, right? He's an amateur. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's never played this game before, and he's not playing it very well. So they're like, Tyler it occurs to him. He's like, because they're like, well, why did Kevin pick David? And he's like, because David's probably the only person he could actually convince to take him off the block. Exactly. That's 100% correct, Tyler. You nailed it. So we'll see. We already saw, so I'll tell you guys. Erasma, hey. So then we get to the veto competition, which is called the puppet. I didn't write it down what it was called. It's like the puppet show. And they're the puppets. So each of the people competing has to hold on to 2 ropes, and then their feet are in 2 stirrups that are also attached to ropes. We've seen competitions like this before. And then the puppet master behind the scenes pulls various strings and ropes, and it lifts their arm or their hand or their leg and kind of puts them into all these different positions. And it's an endurance competition with a little bit of strength as well. You have to be able to, hold yourself up there, be flexible, be balanced. It's a physical competition. But for endurance, typically women do better in endurance challenges than men. Men are stronger, like in a burst, like they can push a big rock or something, but women can kind of like sustain discomfort for longer periods of time than men. Men are also usually heavier, so when you're hanging them from ropes, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. It's harder to, even if they are stronger, they have more weight that they're trying to hold up there. So it seemed to me like that I said it when it first started. I said, the lightest people, I said, Kevin actually has a pretty good chance of winning this because he might be the lightest person up there. It's like, Tyler's kind of light, but he's also strong. But a lot of these people are big people, which means it's harder to hold themselves up. So Kaser was the first one down, and he was so mad and so surprised that he fell. I was kind of surprised that he was surprised because he's kind of a big dude. Like, he's not jacked up. He might be strong. Most men, especially bigger men, are strong, but he's not athletic. He's not a bodybuilder, you think you're gonna outlast some of these people up here. You're big, you're heavy, and your little front of your foot is in these little things. You're holding yourself up by your hands. Dude, there's no way you're gonna win that competition. I wouldn't think. That's, at least not from watching Survivor and Big Brother for the past couple years. It seems to me like the lighter people have the advantage in this challenge. And that seems to be pretty much how it went down. They pretty much fell according to weight from what I could tell. Because Kaser fell first, then Enzo, then Tyler, then Bailey. I think Bailey, and then David. So Tyler, Bailey, and David. I actually think Bailey and David might weigh more than Tyler, but I don't know. It's hard to tell with heights and stuff. Those 3 are kind of comparable. I did think that Bailey stood a pretty good chance of winning this one, but she is, she's stacked. Like, she's not like the thinnest, most tiny little weight. Like someone like me, I could do a challenge like that for a long time because I don't weigh a lot, and it's not that much energy for me to like hold myself up because I only weigh 100 pounds. So it is what it is. And if you didn't notice already, I said Kaser fell, then Enza, then Tyler, then Bailey, then David, which leaves one competitor left up on the ropes, which is Mr. Kevin himself. So Kevin and David were the last two remaining in the veto competition. What I didn't understand is why David didn't throw it, because he was in a bad position. If he won, Kevin would be expecting him to take him off the block, and he would have a hard choice to make. He'd have to either decide to start working with Kevin moving forward and take him off the block and put a target on himself from the top dogs, or he would choose to go with the flow and go with them and leave noms the same, which basically adds nothing to his resume besides that he won a veto competition. So I would have, if I was David, I would want Kevin to win that because I would want Kevin to take himself down because I might want Kevin to come down, but if I don't have to make that move, I'm not making it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to throw it. It seemed to me like David did not throw it. He really, really, really tried to stay up there because Kevin was kind of telling him, like, jump off, like, let me have it. Like, what do you care what happens here? Like, but David was like, well, I have something to prove to the people in this house too. Maybe. I agree that he has something to prove, but I don't know that winning a veto competition when he's not on the block is that thing that he needs to prove to people. But I don't freaking know. So Kevin ended up winning, which is awesome. And he did indeed use the power of veto to take himself off of the block. So I had some ideas about the replacement nominees. I was thinking maybe he would do Ian, but I don't think that's a really good move. So I thought David was pretty much his only choice. Okay, so I'll say that. So there's a little thing that happens before the replacement nominee, before the veto meeting, where Danny kind of outs the Slick Six to Nicole by accident. Because she really trusts Nicole, right? And I don't know if Nicole knows about this Slick Six alliance already because Danny told her or not, but I think Danny just made an honest mistake. She's talking to Bailey and Devon in the have-nots room, and they're wanting to like have a meeting with the Slick Six and just see where everyone is at, make sure everything is good. Because Enzo's HOH, and we want to see who the new nominee is going to be, right? Because Bailey and Devon want to make sure it's not them. So Danny walks into the HOH room where there's Tyler and Nicole. And she says to Tyler, yeah, Devon and Bailey are like, they're kind of freaking out, in there, and I don't know. And he's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, they want to have a meeting. And Tyler's like, who wants to have a meeting? What do you mean? Like a house meeting? And she's like, no. And he's just looking at her like, what the fuck? Because Nicole doesn't know about the Slick Six alliance. So why are you talking about this in front of her right now? Like, this is awkward. And then Danny's like, I don't know. And she just leaves. And so then I think Tyler makes a mistake here. He says to Nicole, oh, well, she just slipped up. That was not necessary to say. He could have just let that awkward energy just radiate through the room. Who gives a shit? It's not his problem. Danny came in, acted weird, and left. Like, he could have said to Nicole, like, what the hell was that? What was she saying? Like, who wants to have a meeting? Like, I don't even understand what just happened. That's what he should have said. Instead, he said, well, she just slipped up. And basically reveals that there is something that he and Danny know about that Nicole does not know about, and it involves Bailey and Devon wanting to have a meeting. But Nicole doesn't give a crap because I think she feels solid enough with her relationship with Tyler and the others in the committee and Danny that she's like, whatever. She didn't really seem to overreact or react at all much to it. Maybe we just didn't see it on the aired show. Maybe you saw it more in the live feeds. I don't know. I don't watch live feeds. So then that pisses off Tyler. He tells Enzo about it, and Enzo's like, maybe I'll just put Danny up. But again, it's like, you're gonna put an ally up. He did say Tyler was the one who was like, just put her up. Like, I don't even care. And Enzo's like, listen, you're my guy. If you want me to put an ally up, you're my dude. Like, well, I'll definitely consider it. That would be stupid this early in the game to like blow up one person that you're in an alliance with. It is not really necessary at this stage in the game. You keep an eye on her. You don't give her any information. You keep her there as a number until you got to cut her off. Obviously she's now on the bottom of the alliance. Then Christmas volunteers. She volunteers to go up as a pawn, which really made me nervous because I was just like, that's just so dangerous, just such a scary position to be in. But it really solidified her relationship with Enzo, and it's a game move. You know, she made a pretty good game move there, I think. So unfortunately, I was really sad and worried about this, that Enzo did indeed put Christmas up as the replacement nomination, or our nominee. Erasmo, hey! Oh my God, Juan, it's crazy, it's crazy, crazy. B. Phillips, what's up, what's up? Ethan? I don't know who Ethan is. But okay. Ethan is somebody from Survivor, if that's what you mean. Ethan's a cool guy. All right. Tonight's episode 13. So now we have Kaser and Christmas on the block, and I'm like worried as hell the entire episode tonight. Like, I cannot even. So the first thing I wrote down that I thought was great is Enzo calls Danny the gardener. She goes around the whole house planting little seeds of doubt. And then she goes around every day into all the different rooms and she waters all the seeds. So funny. Yes, Mark Kaser's speech. Yes, I can't wait to get to that part. We're almost there. So he's talking about, you know, she's the gardener. She goes around planting all these little seeds around the house. Then she goes into each room every day and she waters all of her seeds. And that made me laugh because he nailed it with that analogy, that kind of metaphor, because that's exactly what she's doing. And she thinks she's doing it subtly. She thinks she's like running the house. She wants to be coronated the new queen of Big Brother. I mean, she really thinks, and I think even last week when I was doing this episode or this recap, I actually thought she was doing a pretty good job of it. But it did seem like people were kind of like Davon or somebody said, you know, I don't want to be caught up in Danny's drama. And so that to me kind of shows, okay, there is some sense in the house that like Danny's kind of like just trying to make trouble. And nobody likes that. Nobody wants trouble. You know what I mean? They just want $500,000. They're not trying to have trouble on the way if they can help it. So I think it's good that they're kind of picking up on that, because I really don't like Danny. You know, the way that she plays, the way that she's like so like, oh, I'm so amazing, I'm doing so good, I got everyone in my pocket, and then the reality is like nobody even likes you and nobody trusts you, makes me happy, because that's what I want the real world to be like. Like, I don't want people to get away with being con artists, you know? Cody then tells Enzo, because he was talking to Cody about Danny. Then Cody tells Enzo about the committee, which blew my mind. Because, you know, and because, like I said, Cody, therefore, is being a lot more open with Enzo than Enzo's being with him. And Enzo said privately, like, I don't care, man. Like, I'm in 4 alliances, too. We're all in alliances. We all have our things going on. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like he didn't really care. But he got good information about that. And now he realizes that those people who are working together. So who's the committee? Memphis, Cody, Nicole, Danny, Tyler. Who am I missing? Who's the 6th? Christmas, right? Christmas is in it too, right? The BB After Hours, they do the live feeds. Yeah, they have live feeds 24/7. Is that what you mean? BBLF? Oh, thank you, Ed. I missed that one. Thank you. The tips, Mark? On what? What tips? Oh, you're talking about the super hearts I sent you yesterday? You're welcome. Hi, Hizo. Okay. Then Tyler does something that I think is stupid. But here we go. Tyler tells Bailey and then Davon that Danny wants them out. Because now I get it, like, he thought that she was doing it on both sides. So he thought Danny's going to him and Cody and Enzo and saying, you know, we got to get Bailey and Davon out. I don't trust them. We got to get them out of here. So he thinks that she's also going to Bailey and Davon and saying, you know, I don't trust Cody and Tyler. We got to get them out of here. Unfortunately, for Tyler and Danny, she's not doing that. Maybe fortunately for her. We'll see how that kind of, I don't know, probably not. That's not happening. She did not turn on Tyler and Cody to Bailey and Davon. She's not trying to get them out to Bailey and Davon. She's not trying to work with Bailey and Davon. She's genuinely trying to get Bailey and Davon out of the house. So Tyler tells them this. Why? I don't know. Because he has Danny in his pocket. He just doesn't realize it. He just thinks, the thing that we should all think, if somebody is talking crap about somebody else to me, the chances that they're talking crap about me to somebody else is very high. So, I don't know. She wasn't, at least not about Tyler or Cody. So it was kind of dumb. It basically was like the death of the Slick Six, right? Because now there's all this weirdness already. David told Bailey and Davon that Tyler was saying that they were trying to flip the votes on David. So that blew up there. Then you have Danny just targeting Bailey and Davon, who are in her alliance, like almost from day one of the alliance, it felt like. And now they know because Tyler told them, so Tyler now no longer will have trust with Danny, and they won't have trust with Danny, but also there's only, Danny's part of it, and they don't trust Tyler because of him telling David about them trying to flip the votes before. It's like this whole cluster, and basically the Slick Six is dead. And that was Tyler, Cody, Enzo, Davon, Bailey, and Danny. Then you see Ian doing what this really excited me. Seeing Ian really start to play the game and really start to start putting some plans into movement was really exciting because he did so well, and it was just really getting me excited because I'm like, oh, he's paying attention, he's moving, he's smart, and he's like talking to just the right people he needs to talk to about it. Really, really blew me away. So he talked to Kevin. He said, hey, here's these core people. Something's not good here. I think we got a problem here. He identifies Cody and Nicole as the major core and realizes that his final two deal with Nicole is probably not very reliable, which is amazingly smart and blew me away because I didn't really see a lot of Cody and Nicole hanging out, like just the two of them, often, but I don't watch the live feeds. But Ian did, and he realized it, even with someone who he thought was his kind of ride or die girl. And he's right. They do have a final two deal, Cody and Nicole, and they made it on day one. So Ian nailed it. He nailed it. That was so exciting. I was so excited. Then he goes to Bailey. He talks to Bailey. Bailey says it's kind of like opening her eyes a little bit too. He thinks that Cody is the head, and she thinks it's Danny. Ian's more correct than Bailey is, but Bailey said Danny because she wants to get Danny out. She wants Danny to be the target, right? She wants to get her out of here because she's trying to get her out. So that's the way it works. They decide to basically tag team. He says, you want to tag team a little bit on this? She's like, I would love that. Let's definitely do that. So he comes up with a great plan, I think, which is to convince Kaser to blow everything up on his way out. He's like, he talks to Kaser. He asks the right questions. He just really impressed me. He's like, he said, you're going, right? Kaser's like, yeah. He's like, I really just don't think there's any way you're going to be able to flip 7 people in this house against Christmas of all people, because everyone loves Christmas. He's like, and I think she cooks too, which is like a really good way to solidify your place in the house because everybody wants to eat. So sorry, I'm like trying not to get distracted by the comments. Just don't look. Hi, Jared. How are you? Do I know Ian? I don't know Ian, no. I don't know any of these people personally, if that's what you mean. I don't know what you mean. But hi, Lane. Hi. Hello. Hoi. Big sister. Okay. So he says, is there anyone, now that you know that you're going to get out of the house, is there anyone that you would want to see do well after you leave? And Kaser says, well, obviously I really like you. I'd like to see you do well. He's like, all right, well, here's how you can help me do well. On your way out, blow up the house, set the whole thing on fire. But don't say anything about me telling you any of this information or anything. It can't come back to me because I'm screwed too, and I'm out the door next right behind you. And Kaser makes good on that deal. At the end, when it was time for the nomination speeches, the nominees get to say their last words basically before the vote. And Christmas had the cutest little rhyme. It made me so happy. It was so sweet. And then Kaser goes, and he just says everything. He says, Cody and Nicole have a secret alliance that's going to get them through to the end of the game. Y'all need to wake up, which is 100% true. And they both look super caught off guard, uncomfortable, confused, scared. Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Then he didn't quite nail, I didn't think, like some of the other ones. Kind of, he's close. He didn't quite nail it, but those two he nailed. And it was the first thing he said, and he said it confidently, and it was correct, and it was awesome. Then he says something like there's like a love triangle with Cody, Danny, and Nicole, and that there's like a guys alliance, and he mentions Tyler and David. Is that what he said, guys? Like, it was a little confusing. I was kind of like, wait, what's he really saying here? So some of it was like a little bit messy, but at the same time, seeing all these people that he named squirm was like the best thing ever. And when they went to cast their votes, they were so mad. Did you see how mad Cody was? He was like the first one who got to vote. And he was just like, I forget what showed me how mad he was, but he was just mad. Like, he was so mad. It was great. It made me so happy. So he was mad. Then we had Danny, who was so mad that she said, like, completely disrespectful, completely tasteless, can't wait to get him out of here. I vote to evict Kaser. Now, I was trying to think, why did she say that? One thing Kaser said was that he loves everyone in the house, but he thinks that their game strategies suck, which is stupid because the people that are running the house, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Their strategy doesn't suck. Their strategy is picking off all of their enemies and targets one by one by one. So why are you going to insult everyone on your way out? Unless you just want to be a dick. You know what I mean? So I agree. I thought that was pretty, like, tasteless and classless. And then he also says this whole love triangle thing, right? Cody's caught in a love triangle with Nicole and Danny, which is kind of a weird term to use. He didn't mean, I don't think he meant like an actual love triangle, like relational, like, because I think a lot of these people are married and have kids and stuff. I don't think he meant like they're both in love with Cody and Cody has to choose between the two girls. I think it's more, he meant like it's like awkward because Cody has like an alliance with each of them and they're together, and it's like, he just meant like the three of them are working together, like. And so the term, I think it might have bothered her because it kind of seemed to imply that maybe, and Cody's a good looking dude, like, she probably does think like, this guy's hot. So it's kind of like, she's probably like, her own emotion about it is coming up because she's probably married and she's like, I'm not in a love triangle, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, and her kids are watching this and she's like, I'm not in a love triangle, like, this was showmance, like, no. So maybe it was that. I thought maybe that was part of it. I don't know for sure, but they were definitely super pissed. Nicole was so mad. She just like voted and got up and she's like, I'm out of here. Like, it was awesome. It was so awesome seeing them so mad. At the end, everybody voted Kaser out. It was 10-0. Nobody voted against Christmas. And so then Kaser left and had an interview with Julie, and, he's gone, as we all expected he would be. They announced there's no have-nots this week. Everybody was happy about that. And then they had a filter face-off competition where each person goes up, they compete against one person at a time. You see the pictures of everybody in the house, and they all have different filters on their faces, like a duck or a horse or a dog, or like upside down face or something, like a Snapchat filter. And then you had to answer a question about the pictures. And the person who ultimately ended up winning that was Christmas herself. So not only did she not receive a single vote against herself on the way out, she won the HOH competition, which was kind of a weird competition, to be honest, because some people had to do it like multiple times. And I think Christmas only went up like once at the end or twice at the end. So Christmas ends up winning HOH, which makes me happy because I love her, but I'm super excited to see who is she going to nominate, because like, she has no enemies. She's working with everybody. Everybody loves her. Like, who's she going to put up? So I thought, my first initial thought was like Ian and Nicole, right? But she's in the committee with Nicole, so I don't think she will do that. But she could. That's what I would want her to do, because it's like, you're the two winners. You're the two biggest threats. Like, it's not personal, right? But you guys have both won this game before. Like, let the rest of us have a chance. That's fair. That's a totally fair speech, and it's not something where someone's like, oh, I'm gonna come after you now. It's kind of like, well, who else am I gonna put up, right? You guys are my biggest competition. Like, I see you guys are amazing at this game. You're amazing people. I love you. I know everyone else loves you, so I know I can't compete against you, so I gotta put you up there. I'm so sorry. That's what I'm hoping to see. Not like a freaking like Kevin and David. No, that would like, that would just be so icky. So I don't know. I don't think she'll take a shot at like Danny. I think that's what Enzo might want her to do. Enzo's been wanting to get Ian out. So, and I know Enzo has Christmas's ear quite a bit. So I think that Ian will probably find himself on the block this upcoming week. Who will be up against him? Hard to say, because if you're really targeting Ian, you might not want to put Nicole up, because Nicole is in your alliance and only one of them can go home. So if you put them both up, one of them stays and you're kind of screwed. If you put up Ian next to a pawn, Ian hopefully goes. But Ian has been kind of doing his workings with Kevin and Bailey, so hopefully he's got some kind of traction there, because I don't really want to see him go. I'd rather see Nicole go than Ian, for sure. I don't love the way Nicole kind of like carries herself and behaves, but I think it's just a young thing. I'm not sure how old she is. She might be the same age as me. I might act the exact same way as her, right? A lot of what I say isn't like me trying to be like, oh, I'm better than these people at all. It's just observation. Like, here's what I see happening. I probably have the same flaws, and I would definitely be way worse at this game than these amazing icon legends are. I'm just commenting on what I'm seeing in social nuance and what's going on there, my own personal opinions of how everyone's playing. They revealed a new twist in the game at the end of the show. They didn't reveal it to the house guests yet, and it's called the Big Brother Basement. At first, I don't know if any of you guys were thinking this, I was actually thinking maybe Kaser would go into the basement. Like, remember how they had last season, they had the area where the people that were, like the comeback area or whatever, Camp Comeback, I think it was called, and they all wear like camper outfits. I thought maybe the basement would be something like that, where it's like they would all be in the basement, and then they would all like they'd compete to see who was going to come back. But that's not what happened, so Kaser is gone for good. The Big Brother Basement instead is a place where they do competitions in the dark, and then whoever wins gets 3 special powers. We don't know what the powers are. 3 seems like a lot of powers, but we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out in the upcoming week. So I hope that you guys will be back here next week on Thursday night, September 10th, for this upcoming week's recap of episodes 14, 15, and 16. That'll be exactly 1 week before my birthday. My birthday is in 2 weeks, the Dirty 30. I will officially be 30 years old. I'm really excited, so maybe you guys will come hang out with me then as well. Hopefully I will be able to broadcast this recap on the night of my birthday. I should be able to. Now you want David gone. Interesting, Sarah. You want David gone. I would like to see Nicole or Danny go. I would love to see them both on the block, but that's never going to happen. I don't really care too much for Tyler or Kevin either. David is an entertaining person to me. Like, I like watching him, like, because he's so weird. Like, some of the stuff he, like, when he's just like, what? Who did I vote for? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. It's like, what the fuck? And that's really entertaining to me, you know? You don't want just, like, a bunch of calm, happy people. That's boring to watch. A 30-hour stream for my birthday. 30 hours for 30 years. Ooh, that's crazy. That is crazy. The longest I've ever done was 12 hours. So why don't we start with, like, 13 to begin with? All right. So that was awesome. It was a really awesome episode tonight. It was a good week in the Big Brother house, and I hope to see you guys next week for my recap of this upcoming week. And I will be live. Oh my god, it's 11:54. How long is this stream? How do I tell how long this has been? Oh, up there. 53 minutes. Wow, we could talk about Big Brother a lot, even without a lot of comments on the screen. You think Danny's out next? Ooh, interesting. Any other guesses? I don't think Danny's out. I don't think Christmas puts Danny up. I don't think she does that. I don't think it would be a good move to do that. I think Tyler and Enzo and maybe even Cody have their thing with Danny. Maybe even Davon and Bailey, like, they have their thing. But Christmas isn't in that. Like, she doesn't have that same problem, I don't think. And everyone's already against Danny. So, like, keep her around, right? Who cares? Like, if nobody's working with her, go for the real threats that everybody likes. You know, like Ian, Nicole. The 2 people who've won the game before. No one else in the house has won. Yet all these people keep going, one after the other after the other. My guess is Ian goes home next week if he doesn't win Power of Veto. Putting it out there. Let's see what happens. Danny and Kaser had some tension. Yeah, I just talked about that, how pissed off they were and how she said it was totally classless and tasteless and disrespectful and, yeah, all that. She could be convinced to backdoor her. To backdoor Danny? Well, it depends. So let's do hypotheticals, right? So let's say she puts up Ian and Kevin or David, probably Kevin. Say she puts up Ian and Kevin. And Ian takes himself down. then she can put up a replacement target, you know, like a Danny or Nicole or whatever. If she puts up Ian and Kevin comes down, I don't see her putting another target next to Ian. It doesn't make sense, right? Like, because you can only get one person out, so you want to put a pawn there most of the time, right? If you can, if you have the opportunity, put someone no one's gonna vote out. You know, put Cody up there, like, you know what I mean? Put somebody up there who's like, and Enzo kind of owes Christmas. So if somebody comes down and she needs another pawn to put up, she volunteered to do it for him. It should definitely go both ways, but who knows if it will. So we'll have to see. Enzo does not strike me as the kind of guy who's going to volunteer to be put up on the block as a pawn or anything like that. So, and people might vote to get Enzo out. So you never know. The pawn position is always really tricky. It's really, really, really tricky. And I feel bad that Kevin would potentially be in that position again, but that's where he's at in the house. I mean, that's pretty much where he is. He's a pawn, right? I don't see Christmas really working closely with Kevin by any means. So, or David. But David and Tyler are close, so I think Kevin's in a worse position. So I'm thinking my guess for noms is Ian and Kevin. There we go. And I think Ian's going to go home if he doesn't get himself saved off veto. I'm probably going to be a little bit late to going live on Twitch. I usually go live at midnight, but that's in 3 minutes. So give me a little bit more time because I already drank one of these water bottles today. That's my new water bottle. It says, it has like the times on there. Get started, hydrate yourself, keep going, don't give up, getting close, well done. So you drink 2 of these a day. It's and then it's a total of a half gallon. So this is a quart. And it's awesome and I love it, but I can't stop peeing. So I really have to pee. And I wanted to do a couple more things work-wise before going live. I guess I could do them after the stream. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Yeah, I will. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick pee break and then I will be live on Twitch playing Fortnite if you guys want to come hang out. I know Katie's going on vacation in a couple days, so I'm probably going to play with her like as long as she'll play. So if you want to come hang out, my username is the same over on Twitch, NextJuice, NEXJuice, JUICE. Thank you guys for hanging out with me during this stream. Thank you, Reggie, for the Super Hearts. Thank you, Greg, Robert, and Andy for the Super Hearts. Greg, top contributor of Super Hearts this broadcast with 12,000 Super Hearts. What the heck, man? You're crazy. That is so awesome. And remember, you are worthy of being loved and feeling comfortable in your own skin. Okay? Believe it. Because it's true. And if you don't believe me, message me. We'll talk about it because I can prove it to you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you on the next Juice. Next week, we'll do another Big Brother episode recap. And you can see all my Big Brother season recap episodes on my YouTube channel on the playlist. And I'm going to be doing a little yoga between matches on Twitch tonight. So if you're into that, just follow me everywhere. Subscribe, follow, all that stuff. I hope to see you guys back very soon. It's good to meet all the newbies. And I'll see you on Twitch in a little while, perhaps. Okay, I couldn't check this before the end of the stream, so I'm going to go. Mwah. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Oh, and also watch a really great show on Netflix called Love on the Spectrum. You will cry. I cried a lot. Okay, bye.